This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Now, Jonathan Brown is one of the greats that's ever played AFL. I'd love to talk to him about footy, but first of all, he was in town last weekend.
How outrageous.
He flew in as a bit of arm candy for a guy called Andrew Malone as he held a title belt at the boxing event RAC Arena here. And we didn't know he was in town.
No.
Browny,
this is what arm candy does, Shaun. They just worry about the way they look and what they're getting.
Browny.
That's a wonderful introduction, guys. You know I love you, but I didn't realise you work on weekends. So if you want to come back, I know the company's struggling a little bit. You know, you just got to. Why don't you offer to work weekends, and I would have come in to see you.
Browny, we could have just hung out. Like, that's not work.
Yeah.
It was fun. I can't even remember being in Perth. I know. That's the one problem about the plane. I had a complimentary upgrade on the plane, so I got business class on the way over, and then I forgot that it's about a 4.5 hour flight. Now that's a lot of red wine. So obviously, when you're sitting up the sharp end, they just keep plying you with red wine. So I vaguely remember being in Perth, but anyway, I was at RAC and it was a magnificent stadium, and unfortunately my man Andrew got beaten, but it was wonderful. I sat beside Nick Nat. How big is that man?
I know. He's
like no bigger human than Nick Nat, is there?
They're like, you talk about the Amazons. He's like an Amazon. Like they're built that big.
You're hardly tiny, Browny, so imagine how we feel.
I know. I understood what it is for most people looking up at me, but I had a crook neck by the end of it. But obviously all the A-listers were there, so Nick Nat was there, and then I turned around, Ben Cousins was there. Well, where was Sean McManus? Hey?
He doesn't do Sundays.
Make it in.
He doesn't do Sundays.
And also doesn't get invites.
I mean, there's a couple of things.
I was looking around for you, mate, but I tell you what, that is the best indoor arena I've been to, that RAC arena.
It's an absolute
One of the
cracker.
Wildcats have got a great atmosphere.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
it's
UFC
pretty cool,
there goes off its head.
It's disorientating when you look up at the roof, though, still, don't you reckon? Like, because all the angles is like,
Yeah.
Hey, Browny, I've got to ask
We're
you.
looking up at the roof.
So you've been with Jason Malone for quite some time, walking out in front of him.
Andrew?
Andrew.
Jason and Andrew, they're twin brothers.
So how did that come about?
Well, I've known him for a long time from living on the Gold Coast. The boys are based on the Gold Coast and trained by Angelo Hyder, who, of course, trained the great Danny Green at WA's own. And so the boys train there. My young bloke boxers, young Jack, he's out and trains with the Maloney boys a couple of times a week. So I've known him for a long time and just supported him. And unfortunately, Andrew stuffed my clean record up because leading up until the last weekend, I was 4-0 as a flag bearer. And even though it was a shocking decision, it was a crooked decision by the judges, I'm now 4-1. So my unbeaten record as a flag bearer, carrying the Australian flag, is broken.
That's disappointing.
Unreal.
Disappointing. So anyway, it's been a good journey, and it was good fun doing it.
So you're like a mascot, are you?
Yeah.
So when that entourage walks out...
Yeah, the ring chicks, he wears the same stuff as them.
Well, you know the hardest part?
That's what you're doing. You're like walking out. You're walking out.
He's
Round
the hype
three.
girl.
No,
He's the hype girl. No.
Yeah. Like, I thought you were joking, but that's not you flew over to do that.
I'm not wearing a G-banger. I'm holding a
I'm
ring
sure
cards.
you were.
I'm wearing a, mind you, that'd look all right, wouldn't it? Carrying the Australian flag out in a G-banger. You know the hardest part? Hey, this is a very underrated job because carrying the Australian flag out, you got to remember to have the Southern Cross and then obviously the Union Jack. You got to have it on the right side because the way you're facing is not going to be the way the cameras see it. So you've got to hold it the opposite direction. I have been caught on a couple of occasions walking out to the ring, and obviously the camera's looking at, and the flag's around the wrong way.
How embarrassing. Is that the biggest misstep and embarrassment you've had as a flag girl? Or has there been some other issues?
No, that's been the
main one.
So.
It's hard to walk in high heels too, Nat, when you're going out there.
Well, especially they're so high. Some people say, you're already tall, mate. But
I've got a good set of legs, I reckon. I can pull the G-banger off, no?
You could.
Do you?
I know you
is
could.
the flag bearer the first one out, Browny?
Yes.
You're leading the pack,
And I want all the attention. It's not about the boxes.
Oh, no. You wouldn't even see them behind you.
And then what do? You just sit there and watch and you just hold their bags?
On your lap.
I give him that, the spit bucket. I hold up the spit bucket, and then normally the boxers then spit over you, not in the bucket. None of it goes in the bucket. All of it goes over you.
And what's Andrew Maloney's walkout song? What's he come out to?
He comes out the same as Greeny's song, Men at Work.
Yeah, Down Under.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have
Under.
the same songs?
Well, Granny's retired.
Oh, yeah,
so
I suppose
yeah,
he could.
he can pass it down.
He can pass it
Greeny,
down.
mind you, Greeny, I saw him when we were over there. He's still in good nick, Greeny.
I know. He's got his whole new life down in Margaret River.
Yeah.
He is. He's a surf boy now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, it was pretty cool to be over there. So, great fun.
You'd let Greeny drop in, wouldn't you, if
course
you're
you would.
like on the wave?
Oh, yeah, apparently it goes off his head too if you get in the way.
I know, you go.
Did you tell him the real news from today? The huge news from today?
We're about to get to it. Drop it on him.
Well, there's two things. Number one, apparently you can't buy a Bounty on the shelves in supermarkets. So let's push that to the side and let's go to the thing that's bigger than that.
I love
Bigger
Bounty.
than that.
No one likes Bounties. You're a liar.
No, I love Bounty because you get 2 for the price of 1.
But
Yeah,
but
no one does
2 that
coconut and
taste
chocolate.
terrible. What's the point
the
of
point?
that?
And you wouldn't do a cherry ripe either. They're not in the top.
No, I do like
No,
cherry
I
ripe.
love cherry ripe as
I don't
well.
like
I'm a
cherry
coconut
ripe.
man.
Yeah. Okay, so let's push that aside. The back page of the West Australian, Shaun.
It is not laden with Harley Reid this morning. First time ever.
I know.
Oh, what's
We
happening?
can't believe
Now,
it.
we think it's because he did the interview with Tim Watson and he was saying that Perth's a bit of a fishbowl and all that kind of stuff.
And he's not
previously-
enjoying that. Yeah.
And previously, the day before, they were actually writing up snippets saying that he's going to stay because he loves it here in the West Australian and doing him basically a favour of making him famous.
It's so strange because I'm reading what the West has to say, and it's all about I love being on the paper, I love being here, I'm not homesick, and then I'm hearing other stuff that's not coming from WA, and it's him saying I feel homesick, everyone's looking at me, I haven't been able to get to know Perth that well because I don't get a second to myself.
Jeez, imagine him. Where do we go? Northbridge now or Subi still?
Northbridge,
Plus, he wouldn't
yeah.
be short of it. He wouldn't be short of a drink card.
Oh.
Yeah, would he?
I know,
Oh,
but he can't go out because everybody's harassing him.
What's the
yeah,
word
I
over
can
there,
understand-
Brownie? What do you think? Do you reckon he'll stay?
It's probably hard to tell, but geez, they're going to. I'd be surprised they'll let him out. It's going to be a bit like those 2 border jumpers, those COVID jumpers that end up
Came
getting
for the
arrested
grand
doing
final.
about 6 months. What were they called? Babbage and Baycock or something? He sounded like a law firm, didn't he? Yeah. So I reckon they'll be building the wall like that and just locking him in.
Oh no,
I'm sure
they'll be
get-
Joseph Fritzling him.
Yes.
He'll be living underneath the Eagles.
And isn't he
headquarters.
sponsored by a fruit and veg company? So the fact that he gets free local produce, that'll be
herdsman.
enough to keep him in
Herdsman?
WA.
No, Brownie, he just went in the herdsman one day and someone chucked a bloody iPhone in his face and got him.
Fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum.
It's a
Bloody
good
like
joint,
nothing.
though. It's a great joint. So, that's quality for produce.
It's like just down the road from our place. Chris Hemsworth has obviously dropped in with his mate and got some sushi on the way through. Well, now this thing it's like a billboard out the front of this sushi
Now
shop.
Chris
now.
Hemsworth bought a California roll from there.
Do you reckon Chris Hemsworth has ticked off on it?
That's
So I said to Carl's, my wife Carl, it must be good sushi.
Have you noticed Coles keeps going back, though, just in case?
Keeps coming back with a California roll.
Now, Brownie, one of the other matters that's going on is the WA team saying that we need better upgrades on
sort of
flights,
compensation.
for the fixture. What's your thoughts on that? You've travelled.
Well, absolutely. They need business class. See, the only danger, like I said before, business class, you can get a bit carried away up the front. Obviously, the boys are a bit more disciplined than I am. But the fact that Victorian clubs have said that there's no inequities with the travel because the 2 Perth teams get 12 business class seats each.
That's ridiculous.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And Damon Hardwick has come out this week and said that those clubs should be named and shamed because it is ridiculous. Clearly, it's inequitable, the travel factor, especially for the Perth teams, somewhat for the Queensland teams, but especially Perth. They travel twice as far as anywhere else. And it is a real thing. And the fact is they have to travel every second week as well. Whereas a team like Collingwood, they're happy enough to go on the road, and I know they're on the road tonight, but they travel about 5 times a year.
Exactly.
So it's a lot easier playing from home. No matter how good fun it is, getting on the road with the boys, and especially we used to love coming to Perth because you'd pack your going out gear before you pack your footy gear. It was always a good time.
Swap into
But
left
it
back.
is easier to play well at home.
Yeah. And but what do you reckon, Brownie, about the idea of like the league buying their own plane, fitting it out with all business class seats, and having that as the charter jet for both the Dockers and the Eagles to use for their away games?
Well, I suppose if they could use it during the week, because it'd be too expensive to only use it for teams flying around. But the first time I experienced was 2001 grand final. Was Ansett went bust the week of the grand final.
It did, yeah.
I might have told this story before, and we didn't have a flight still on the Wednesday to go to the grand final to play against Essendon. So we got offered on the Wednesday. We said there's a fair chance we're catching the overnight express, the train, down to Melbourne. Imagine that. Imagine bunking up with Pikey or Acker, the overnight express. Well, eventually someone came through who owned a private jet that was big enough to take the team, and we flew down for the grand final in 2001 on a private jet. It was fantastic. But you imagine the trip home as well when we won, and we're still on that same private jet.
It would have been a relaxing drive to the travel to the grand final though. There's the clickety clacks of the train tracks.
I know, but how long's the train journey? It'd be a day and a half or something.
It was
going
to be 24 hours.
Yeah. Perfect preparation for a grand final.
A bit like the Perth teams have to put up with.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they've said name and shame, right? Yeah. Are they going to name and shame? Would they?
I hope they do.
Will they?
Be
because
so funny.
I'd like to know. You have a guess who it is?
Who do you reckon it
I
is?
guarantee it would have been Scotty.
I was going to say
Chris Scott, and he knows. He says it half tongue in cheek because. He would understand. He's a Fremantle assistant coach as well. But Geelong are always complaining. Yeah. They're always complaining about the inequities of the draw and the fact they can't play finals down at Geelong and all that sort of stuff.
Well, they played Fremantle down in Geelong and lost, so I don't know why they would bother.
Exactly right. But they'll be looked after. The Perth clubs will be looked after. They'll be fine. They'll be sitting up the sharp end.
All of them.
Drinking the red wine. Well, Brownie, we've got to get going. We're going to get to the news very shortly. But we really appreciate your time, buddy.
Love your work, bud.
Well, go the Dockers tonight, isn't it?
Yep. Absolutely,
Dockers
mate.
I like the way they're going, the Dockers.
Yeah, come on, Brown Dog.
Have they got room for Darcy and Luke Jackson, though, in the same team? That is the question.
Well, Darcy's our man, so as long as they keep him, we'll be happy.
They don't have enough business class seats, though, to accommodate them both on the away trips.
So we've decided to get rid of Luke Jackson.
I know, and he's lovely.
He's got a Nova contract.
Yes.
The way it works. You know how it works. Thanks, Brownie. Love your work, bud.
Right.
Cheers.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
He came off the back of a great win on the weekend against Melbourne. Now we're off to Adelaide.
Yes.
Take on the Crows,
But
Gov.
otherwise,
Good morning.
Gov would be there.
Gov would be there. He used to be a Dockers supporter.
Yeah, I used to.
Back
I
in
was
the day.
forced. I was forced to be one. Obviously,
Like
Dad
Shaun
played.
forced his children. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Fair, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously Dad used to play for him, so I had to support him.
And also anybody that beats Collingwood, we're about that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about you, Gov. Bloody
Yes.
great game against the Demons last week. You
it was
controlled the airways as usual.
You were good.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, no, I think the boys were good as a whole. I contributed. It was good. It was good footy.
Yeah, the boys.
It's good for the fans.
What I loved, Gov, is that you didn't stop, even though when the game was in the bag, because almost on the final siren, you tackled a bloke so hard. Like, I was worried for him. Right on the boundary line as well.
You got to take your opportunities when you can. I'm always getting hit all the time, so I thought I'd try and get someone back. So, it was...
So were you like running after him just before the siren so you could get him? Oh, shit, he's over there.
Just before.
Oh, how long have I got?
That's amazing.
No, it was good. The whole day was great. The fans were pumping again. It was awesome. Such a good day. But we're going to move on, unfortunately, and very quickly.
How long does it last for?
That glow.
There's a glow afterwards, and there's a lot of relief associated with having a victory.
I'd love to say it lasts forever, but this day and age, as soon as you've done your game, you quickly review straight after the game, recover, and then you're straight into it. We're worrying about training on Tuesday, worrying about Adelaide. So as much as you'd love to lap it up, it is only a home and away game as well. So we're not getting too carried away with it.
Yeah.
It was exciting, but you got to move on pretty quick.
Can I say, in all the press that I've seen you do over the last couple of weeks, you were so cool, calm, and collective in the way that you answer questions.
I'm going to be able to fit out of this door, Nathan.
No, but he is. He's very measured in his stuff. And the only time I've ever seen anything like where you've gone like a bit crazy was when you were playing the Derby Challenge with my mum. When you started screaming about the rules.
He's a fighter for justice.
Have you ever shown that intensity in in your press conferences, or do you realise as you speak every word is going to be used in the press? Is it conscious? What is it?
Of course, you're worried about what you're going to say, but you try and be yourself as well.
Yeah.
You want to try and find that middle ground where you're yourself and without coming across the wrong way. So it is a bit of a balancing act, I guess. But
have you ever said something wrong? Because Shaun Darcy was in here the other week and he confirmed that he wasn't travelling, which he wasn't supposed to.
Grilled him,
and then then it was on the news what he said on our show. Have you ever accidentally said something you weren't supposed to?
Yeah, plenty of times. I did it last year.
What'd you do?
They asked me why I was so fit. Why I look so fit, and I mentioned that I changed my beers up, beers that I've been drinking.
Yes.
And I'm not going to do it again, but it was. They asked which one it was, and I told them, and it wasn't one of our sponsors.
So you're still drinking not a sponsored beer?
Slide through to the keeper. It's all good. And it was the back page of the West. What is it?
Luckily, that won't happen these days.
Something about a can, and it was my head on a beer can.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want, and they would put you on the back page of the West these days.
Get away with it now.
For you. Unless
as long as Harley's not mentioned.
One encouraging thing that I liked from Sunday's match was seeing, when we haven't seen this for a long time, seeing Liam Ryan fly.
Yeah.
It felt like he was back, and that mark that he almost took over Max Gawn again. Extraordinary.
Yeah, no, it was good to see him back.
He's up and about.
Yeah, he's up and about. That's why I said that the whole team had some moments throughout the day, and Liam has taken a couple of weeks. Obviously, he hasn't played for such a long time, so it was good to see him get back to some form and start flying for his marks again and being electric like he always is. Yeah, he almost it was in orbit with that one, wasn't he? It was a rocket, but
the fact he landed on his feet was amazing.
He landed on his feet like a cat, and Nat, if you're in Supercoach, he's the guy that you'd start putting in your team, because you're dead right. He showed on the weekend, this is coming here.
It's the glimpses of what we're used to seeing from him. He's back.
Yeah, definitely.
Gov, I want to ask you, so last week there was 150 players in the AFL that were injured on players on lists of clubs. 150 is a massive number. So they were talking about the fact that our game's too long. Can we make them shorter? Because that's too much carnage. People are getting really hurt these days, and they're out for multiple weeks, left, right and centre. Well, how do you feel about that? Where do you think that sits?
Look, I don't know. They've got to do the research. Everyone just gets so trigger happy. I think sometimes, everyone's just, let's change this straight away. I don't think it's the length of the game, because I don't reckon people are... Yeah. It's the thickness of it. Most people aren't getting injured in the last 5 minutes because the game sort of slows down.
Yeah.
It's the speed of the game. They try to increase speed over the last few years. They've done it. It's fast, and now there's...
Bodies can't keep up with it.
Yeah, obviously with Knox and the actual running capabilities have definitely changed immensely since I've been playing it. The last probably 2 or 3 years, the speed of the game is so much quicker. The
concussion thing is always still an interesting thing, because that adds to the numbers. Like every week we're seeing just every single game.
Yes.
There's people going out every single game.
But you have to treat head injuries as an injury though, Shaun.
Yeah, I know.
Just because their bone's not sticking out through their leg.
It's still, I still find it hard to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, that's because he got knocked in the head so much.
I watched Bulldogs last night. Ed Richards got hit in the head. He got up straight away, and because he hit a head on head, they come out and said, you've got to come off. And then he was like, putting his hands in the air, and he's having a drink, walking up and down the boundary line.
He had cartoon birds flying above him.
Okay, so that's the giveaway.
That's the giveaway.
Anyway, I want to come back off. He's out, so that means he misses next week as well.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to come to terms with, are they now just any head knock or anything like that, you're just out? Full stop.
Yeah, I think they've probably taken a cautious approach. But now as a player, you're trying to, if you feel okay, you're trying to hide that, if that makes sense. So, not hide it, sorry, but you're not trying to make it as obvious that you've got it hit in the head.
Because you want to keep playing.
You're minimising it.
Your default.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're trying to do the right thing by the player. But it sucks also because thing for me is that happens. I don't know how many injuries the Bulldogs have last night. 4. They had no one on the bench. So if it's going to be that trigger happy, I feel like you need to probably extend the bench a little bit, so you still got, and then it puts pressure on all the other players that are playing because they can't have rotations, so their risk of injury is higher.
Yeah.
So that's where it all sort of starts stemming from. The rotations have been pulled back the last few years, so it all just starts adding up, and then I think at the moment you're starting to see a lot more injuries, but hopefully the AFL will look into it deeper and let's
strike a balance somehow.
Yeah, let's actually look deep into it and ask the players and ask the sports science guys at football clubs to get the best product. Because at the end of the day, you need more players out. You need your best players out there to have a good product, a good game. Yeah. So that should be the number one priority, in my opinion, is trying to make sure the players are fit and healthy and out there every week.
So when you get a head knock and you go off, they force you. They're assessing. It's not just blanket. You can't go back on. They assess you, don't they? They're looking for signs of concussion.
They hit your knee with that little hammer.
So there's some cognitive testing.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff.
do all testing. They look at the vision, obviously, and then they do a small cognitive test. That's why it takes 20 minutes.
Yep.
You do that and try past that, but some people don't pass it normally.
You
Normally,
have to do the New York Times crossword.
All sorts of
I don't know what would the cognitive test be.
So that's interesting, Gov, because how do you know you're going to be when's your best time to do a cognitive test?
Yeah, well, you do a few of them.
Yeah.
So
they get
you try to get your baseline.
Yeah, what if you're so
baseline.
stupid, your baseline?
Yeah. Well, then you're safe.
They go, wow, you've got some serious head injuries. No, this is the best score I've ever got.
It's literally knocked some sense into you.
They're the players we're targeting in the draft.
It's like, how fix your skull? You're in.
Oh, God. Such an interesting time.
Yeah, you do all that, but at the end, the AFL's trying to look after players, which we can understand. But at the same time, as a player, it does get a little bit frustrating. But you got to respect that they're trying to look after you.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that beautiful video you showed me of your son jumping up and down at the game with his friends.
Yeah, it was his birthday on the weekend, so we snuck him into the game with a few of his mates and got the win for him.
Well.
Yeah, got him into the rooms, and they all used and abused me for Harley, which was nice.
It's like, Dad, can you get out of the way? You're spoiling our photo with Harley.
I don't
Reid.
even know why I asked. I said, "Oh, mate, you can't be going around to everyone. You can just ask the boys and come tell me who you'd want, and I'll just go grab one of them and bring him over and say good day." I don't even know why I asked.
I know. There's like one little hand just pointed that way.
He's
And
like,
it was
Harley.
to Harley.
I said, all right, no worries. And Harley's such a good fella. He'd come over and made their day and their lives. He's a ripping fella, and the kids loved it. So
fantastic.
It was
You'd love to hear that.
What a great place you are to be able to offer your kid that. You know, yeah. Our biggest thing was going to see my dad pulling on the train at Parkston.
That's all right.
But at the
Here
time,
he comes,
and then at the time,
and then Dad would like toot the horn twice, like,
and your mum handed out. Your mum handed out a plate of bacon savouries. Everyone was happy. Like, happy birthday, Nathan.
That's amazing. What about you? Did you ever do that sort of stuff with your kids? Oh, really? It was. I mean, Sonny wasn't around.
No. They were around. I was the first one to have. I think probably a child that was in there.
Team. Yeah,
so
right.
Lachlan used to be in the team song, when we sung or how to win. Someone would hold him or I'd hold him. But he doesn't really remember because he's too young.
Ben Allen's kids would have been around. Some of them would have been around.
I remember.
Yeah, but he wasn't really playing in that area.
Did you?
That's the thing.
With Dad, I still remember going to a couple of Freo games when he was on the back end.
Did you ask to meet Shaun McManus?
Probably,
yeah. I remember I used to take a jumper in that had all their signatures on it, and I was that kid that kept getting the signature, even though you've already got it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
see, I would have been
thinking of it now. I'm like, what was I doing?
If I was the kid and they handed me a jumper with all the football signatures on there, I would have got Mum to wash it. It's stained.
I mean, we did love that photo that emerged over the weekend of Harley Reid as a kid. With Christian Petrarca. This is amazing, isn't it?
Well, Harley actually messaged Hudson for his birthday.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't wait to play with him one day. I was like, I'm just not going to. And I actually did the maths. I'm like, he's a chance of playing if Hudson does.
I don't like when people.
That's how young the boy.
I don't like when people show us math that show us how old we could be.
I know. So he's just turned 6, right?
Yeah, he's 6.
So 18 is 12 years' time,
11,
and Harley'd be 31.
Should be playing.
He'd be younger than you are now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Thinking of that makes you feel old.
Yeah, that's hectic.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
That's amazing.
All right. Here we go.
So Harley is staying at the Eagles then
for 13 years.
Another song. Yes, that sounds good.
There we go.
It must be his dream to play with Hudson McGovern.
Joint back page of the paper.
I'll just tell the list manager I've got this one. I'll get it done.
Good luck, Gov. Should be a great game on Sunday. Really good performance against Adelaide. Go a long way to getting you right up there and contending.
you,
we'll see. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.